Hello friends and strangers, I am Heli, and in this video I am taking you with me into Wytchwood, where I accidentally played the game a bit without recording. I only noticed it once I was coming back from the forest and had crafted the mending poultices we need. So you didn't miss anything else, just me running around the forest gathering herbs and then crafting the poultices. And let's go to the sick house and deliver the goods. Luckily, I noticed that I wasn't recording as soon as I did, so you didn't miss much. Alright, let's give the goods to the Leech. The Leech stuffs the poultice into an unsanitary looking cabinet without a second glance. The Leech takes the wings with a surprisingly delicate touch and lays them out carefully along the surface of a clear shelf. The Leech inspects the barbs before placing each of them carefully into a velvet-lined container alongside other excruciating-looking instruments. I've run your errands, now I really must insist on that death certificate. There's no need to get prickly, I have your papers right here. The Leech extends her moist arm and thrusts a poorly written note into your hands. You shake the mucus from the paper and try to decipher the loopy, illegible scribbles. You're not even sure that the Leech spelled the poor man's name right, but you suppose it's better than nothing. Bah, next time I need a doctor's note, I'm better off forging the signature myself. You crumple the note into a tight roll for safekeeping. Right, that's the last thing we need for the obelisks. So let's go deliver it and see what happens. Proof of the dead. Yep. Let's give it. The humid swamp air has made the paper of the death certificate soft and damp. As you drop it into the bowl, it decomposes before your eyes until nothing is left. With the final offering accepted, the obelisks surrounding the circle begin to hum. You can hear a strange melody playing through their discordant tones. The carvings on the ground burn with renewed energy, driving away the overgrowth. You're quick to step away as you feel a vacuous force pull at the circle's center. I suppose that's done the trick. Let's see what the writing has to say for itself now. You rotate your head to read the glowing letters on the edge of the circle. Place the vessel of the deceased, yada yada. Recite the evocation of necrodermis, blah blah. Apply the canopic ointment. Right, seems straightforward enough. All I need to do now is go fetch the body of that poor fool husband. He should be here in the swamp somewhere. Well, we know where there are bodies. So let's go see if one of them is the husband. Ugh, This must be where that nurse has been dumping the surplus of corpses. I'll need to take a closer look at each one to find the right fellow. Similar perhaps, but not the right one. This poor soul doesn't fit the description. Not the husband, this one. Not this one. This isn't it. Unfortunate nonetheless. This isn't the right one. Where on earth is that stinking body? You'd think I'd be able to find him among the dead here. You watch a particularly bloated fly land on a rotting hand poking out of the muck. Its disgusting proboscis probes at the withered flesh. Two globular red eyes slowly unglue themselves and swivel to boggle at the insect. A huge slime-covered tongue lashes out and pulls the hapless fly into a gaping, toothless maw, along with most of the sunken corpse. Well, I suppose that explains where my misplaced man went. Speak to the Frog King. Much larger than conventional witchy familiar. Can it be? Has a lovely young morsel wandered its way into my palace? You call this filthy bog a palace? He throws his head back, shaking the swamp with burbling laughter. Smaller frogs and newts scurry out of the way to avoid being crushed by his enormous bulk. Har har har, wouldn't you? This place is a veritable bounty of insects, and my subjects have such healthy appetites, so they will all grow big and strong. I'd eat you too, but that head of yours looks much too hard. I prefer my food to be nice and tender. Look, you wouldn't perchance have seen an old man pass through here, have you? About yay high, full beard, deadish? The frog taps his fingers against the log, grinning an impossibly large grin. Oh yes, I do believe I've seen the chap. He had such a delectable aroma, and full of the boned ribs. But I'm sorry to say that once something goes down the hatch, it never sees the light of day again. We'll see about that. I'm sure I can come up with something, some just dessert for you. The frog rolls his eyes around and around, as if daring you to try something. We don't have any of those digestive tablets. Goblins not. Alright, I guess we'll need to go into the forest. The goblin's weakness was the dreadful doll. So let's make one and see if we can scare the snot out of him, or it. The goblin, that is. I do believe he was this way. Yep, past the angry tree. There. Oh, whoa. We struck at the exact same time. And here I didn't notice that the goblin's knot had indeed dropped down there. I can see it now that I'm recording the commentary, but when I was playing I was very perplexed because I thought it hadn't happened, and well, I went in with another doll to try again. This time trying to stay a bit further away from the goblin, just making sure that it was indeed the dreadful doll that I was supposed to use. Yes. And then I went looking for the snot, but I didn't look far enough, so I didn't see it. And I had to ponder at this for a while, look around, and eventually I used my witch's eye to look around properly without having to be in any hurry, and I noticed the snot and everything worked out just fine. I just used an extra doll because I didn't notice the snot dropping the first time around. So here I get a bit further away from dangerous things and decide to use my witch's eye to look at things, and now I see the goblin's not there. And I was thinking, hey, this is the way into the swamp, but then I realized that actually it would be quicker to use the portal, because the portal is going to take us very close to the Frog King. So let's get to the portal. Let's make these tablets, and then off we go to see how they work on the Frog King. This way and then up. And there we are. Oops, wrong button. There we go. A witch, of course, always has something to try. You wrap a juicy looking grub around the medicinal tablets and offer it up to the Frog King. Your Majesty, I really must find the whereabouts of that gentleman. Perhaps this small tribute will persuade you to loosen your tongue. The frog gulps down the tantalizing meal without a thought. Ah, a delectable gift. Thank you, my pretty. Now, I already told you where. His nostrils flare for a moment, then he sneezes, sending specks of wet mucus flying. The frog's throat suddenly expands, filling with gas. The belch that erupts from its lips resonates so loudly that the entire swamp ceases its buzzing. You avert your eyes, but the noise and smell of the frog's explosive eruption almost knock you off your feet. Great Glinda's ghost, what a stench! The frog wobbles on its legs, looking thoroughly emptied. He teeters before rolling his huge body back into the swamp with a thunderous splash. You spot the slippery body of the husband floating in the bog water. Luckily, he seems to be missing some bits and pieces, so he should fold up quite nicely. With some snapping and squeezing, you manage to get him down to a transportable size. Stuff him in your satchel. Wow. Okay. That was unpleasant. The circle of power is ready and waiting for its necromantic purpose. Place the husband's body in the center. With considerable effort, you unfold the husband's decaying body from your satchel and slap it down into the middle of the circle. Invisible shackles wrap around the corpse's limbs and pull its spread eagle against the ground. Strange mist rises from the obelisks, casting everything in a sickening green light. Slowly but surely, the corpse begins to levitate off the ground. It rotates to face each obelisk, one by one. Oh, get on with it. I haven't got all day. You give the rotting head a good kick as it passes by you. With a gasp of stale air, the body drops to the ground. Suddenly, it bolts upright. Goo! Speak to the husband. Okay. Well, hello there. Boo-goo. You caused me a lot of trouble, you know that? The reanimated corpse claws at his throat. Oh, sorry. Wait a moment. Near your feet, you see a disembodied tongue flopping about on the ground like a worm. You scoop it up and quickly toss it into the man's gaping mouth. Bluck! Though he moves his jaw, his lurching voice seems to emanate from some place beyond. Murderer! What? I am not. You were quite dead when I found you. No, Leech murdered me. He clutches at his hollow chest, as if trying to feel his heart beating. Gave me plague, drained my blood. Leech murdered others. He swings a limp arm towards the body-filled bog. I knew there was some awful stink about that sick house. What sort of doctor infects her own patients? Check her office. Find proof. Don't you worry, I'll make sure that parasite gets what's coming to her. But you should head back home. Your wife is worried half to death about you. He turns and looks longingly over his shoulder. You can hear his vertebrae popping. Yes, I late. As he shambles into the choking mist, he gives you a crooked nod of thanks. Well, that wine in the Leech's office did look a bit suspicious. Let's go see what incriminating evidence we can find, other than the wine. While the leech is busy with her patients, you riffle through the contents of the various cabinets in her office. Mostly dried herbs and potions, nothing seems out of the ordinary. That is, until you notice a suspicious-looking bookcase set against the wall. The books are all fake, just chopped-down spines, glued to a solid blank. Your fingers race across the medical titles and quickly find a loose volume. With a click of a switch, the whole bookcase swings open to reveal a secret compartment. Your heart jumps at the sight. Racks upon racks of bottled blood are arranged like fine wines. Each vessel meticulously catalogues the name, description, and age of its source. It looks like that thirsty slug's been sapping the living for years. On a nearby table, you spy a decanter half filled with a ruby red liquid. You wonder whose blood it contains. A dash of salt would remind that slimy worm that there's worse things out there than bloodsuckers. Salt the wine. Do we know how to do that? Ah, spirit salts. Let's make one. And do we just use it? I guess we do. You sprinkle a generous amount of embalming salts collected from the graves of the leech's victims into the decanter. As the salt dissolves into the bloody cocktail, you hear the telltale squelching of the good doctor's approach. What are you doing? Can't you see that this is my private office? I already helped you enough, so there's no reason you ought to be here. She hastily shuffles you out of the room. Now get out, this place is only for the sick. You're certainly right about that. You walk just out of sight before doubling back to hide behind the withered get-well bouquet. You peer at the vexed Leech as she slithers around her office, checking every cabinet and locker for tampering. She mutters something expletive about nosy old women. Satisfied, she sighs with relief and reaches to pour herself a glass from the tainted decanter. Ah, that addition of black fever adds a certain nutty quality. Maybe it'll pair well with an infusion of peat moss palsy in the next batch. She takes a sip, waiting just a moment before throwing her head back and guzzling it all down. Lovely, sharp flavor, full body too. Suddenly, the leech snaps to attention. Her limbs start out, writhing with uncontrollable gestures. She stabilizes herself against the table as sweat pools on her brow. The decanter shatters against the floor in an explosion of glass. What's happening? The leech spasms as the tendrils of ghostly spirits begin to suck the moisture from her body. You watch as she dwindles in size, shrinking like some horrible raisin. Whoa! You inspect the mummified worm, pressing it between your fingers slightly. Drained by the very spirit she was supposed to be healing. In your fingertips, you make out the faintest of heartbeats, the soul of the leech. Wow. One soul collected. Now we need to collect the bear, the ox, and the snake. I don't believe it. This was all happening right under my nose the whole time. Yep. Let's go see how the sister is doing first, though. The old woman of the swamp. We'll see if the husband found his way back and if they're happy together and all that stuff. The leech is gone, we've done our job. Let's just see that she also gets something out of this. Oh, thank you, sister. He's good as new. Love, wife. Oh. That's sweet. Job well done. Let's move on to the next quest. So here in the forest there are two different souls to collect, the bear and the snake. We have kind of begun the bear quest by meeting the quartermaster, but we have yet to hear anything about the snake. Snap trap. And what was that? Bait stick. Humble basin, once perhaps part of a lovely plaza, now little more than a bird bath. Weeping Maiden, a pretty, sad-looking woman. Let's go talk to her. You approach a young woman, weeping sorrowfully into her palms. She catches her breath for a moment and looks out longingly over the placid lake. Oh, my sweet songbird, why have you forsaken me to a life devoid of your love? Tears well up in her eyes as she buries her face once again. You consider leaving this melodrama well enough alone, but something about the poor girl reminds you of the maiden slumbering under your house. You draw out a tattered handkerchief and offer it to the maiden. There, dry your eyes, my child, and tell old Granny what the matter is. Oh, thank you, you're very kind. She takes the cloth and daintily dabs the corners of her eyes. Swallowing the last of her sobs, she composes herself before sighing wistfully. It's my beloved, such a sweet and romantic man, with the voice of a meadowlark. I get it. He dumped you. Well, don't worry. There's plenty of other frogs in the swamp. What? No, he loves me and I him. Though our families would never allow us to be together, he'd come and sing outside my balcony every night. One night, we both vowed to escape and meet by this lake. Her lip quivers. I waited and waited under the waning moon, even past the morning sun, but he still didn't reveal himself. Tough break? Maybe he just wasn't that into you. The woman snaps at you with sudden vitriol. He would never abandon me. We're destined to be together. She slips back into a melancholic gaze out over the lake. Even now, I can still hear the beautiful melody of his lute coming from across the water. Over the dull sounds of lapping waves and quacking waterfowl, faint notes of some faraway stringed instrument whisper through the reeds. Oh, I hear it too. Maybe you aren't just mad in love. It's coming from somewhere in the middle of the lake. He's out there somewhere, I just know it. She crumples into another dramatic bout of inconsolable tears. Now, I'm sure it's just some echo bouncing off the shore. I'll go find where this tardy bard of yours has run off to. Alright, so that's the beginning of the snake quest. And now we need to choose which one we're going for, the snake or the bear. But let's do that next time. If you like this video, please leave it a like. And if you'd like to support my efforts here on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. It is quick and easy and doesn't cost you a thing, but it does help me a lot. Thanks so much for watching. I wish you a lovely rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the comments below.